Hello, everybody. Let's talk about postal banking. Postal banking is a provision of financial and banking services through a post office. It is not a new or radical idea. Postal banks already exist in many parts of the world where they are used to increase financial inclusion, promote economic development, and generate revenue to preserve public postal service and jobs. In fact, our post office used to have a national savings bank up until 1969, and there is no reason why we shouldn't have one today. Why do we need postal banking? Banks are failing to meet the needs of a growing number of Canadians. Thousands of towns and villages across our country do not have a bank, but many of them have a post office that could provide access to financial and banking services. Nearly 2 million Canadians in urban and rural areas desperately need an alternative to predatory payday lenders. A postal bank could be that alternative. Canadian banks have raked in enormous profits while cutting services, closing branches, and charging some of the highest banking and ATM fees in the world. So we deserve better. So, post administrations around the world, including Canada Post, have seen traditional mail volumes decline in recent years. Many post offices have added or expanded financial services in order to lessen their dependence on declining mail volumes and revenues. So, postal banking could help Canada Post make money and increase its ability to provide public postal service and create decent jobs in communities throughout Canada. Lucrative. Let's say New Zealand. New Zealand is called Kiwi Bank, generated 81% of New Zealand's post's after tax profits. Switzerland. Post Finance produced 48% of Swiss Post operating profits. In Italy, Banco Posta profits are allowed the Italian post office to make 57 million euros in profits, which is 86.1 million Canadian, in spite of losses and incurred by its postal businesses. In France, Le Banque Postales operating profits of 842 million euros, which is 127 or 1,271.6 million Canadian, made a significant contribution to Le Groupe La Poste operating profits of 719 millions euros, which is 1,085.8 million Canadian. Postal banking has social and economic benefits. So let's say in France, Bank Postal has an obligation to provide products and services to as many people as possible. It provides a livret or a passbook savings account at no charge to anyone who requests it. It also provides banking services to the financially vulnerable and financing for social housing, voluntary organizations, and micro entrepreneurs lacking bank credit. In Brazil, since its creation in 2002, Banco Postal at Brazil's post office has opened over 6,200 postal bank branches and provided bank accounts to about 10 million people. These efforts are largely designed to meet the needs of poor and marginalized populations living in rural and underdeveloped areas. In Italy, Banco Posta offers current accounts, payment services, and postal savings products on behalf of Casa de Poi Prestiti or CDP. The CDP, which is 80% owned by the Italian government, supports the development of country banks, and they actively work to undermine postal banking. In 1898, the chartered bank successfully lobbied the government to reduce the interest rate paid on deposits at postal savings banks from 3% to 2.5%. They also worked to eliminate advertising by postal banks. As time went on, chartered bank and credit unions increased their presence in communities, and the post office and government became less interested in maintaining the network. The post office savings bank system was closed down in 1969. Support for postal banking. Municipalities, over 600 municipalities have passed resolutions that support postal banking. In the public, almost 2 out of every 3 respondents, 63% to a 2013 Stratcom poll, supported Canada Post expanding revenue generating services, including financial services like bill payments, insurance, and banking. Canada Post conducted a secret 4-year study on postal banking that indicates that adding this service would be a win-win strategy for the corporation. This study was obtained though an access to information ATI request. Unfortunately, 701 of the study 811 pages were redacted. CUPW has asked Canada Post President to release the full report, but he has refused. What would a postal bank look like? There are many different models of postal banking. Some postal administrations set up their own bank, others act as a financial intermediary by providing services in partnership with banking and other financial institutions, such as credit unions. In this instance, they work with one or a number of institutions which operate nationally or in different regions. Some people banks deliver a broad range of financial services while others provide a more limited offering. Services provided by postal banks, savings and checking accounts, online banking, bank machines, credit cards, debit cards, prepaid cards, money transfers, including remittances, insurance for home, auto, travel, etc., loans and mortgages, investment products, RRSPs, mutual funds, annuities, foreign currency, other services such as financial counseling. We had a postal bank. Canada had postal banking for over 100 years. The federal government passed legislation establishing a post office savings bank system just after Confederation in 1867 in order to provide a savings service to the working classes and small town residents. This system began operating in 1868 with 81 locations and grew quickly. By 1884, there were 343 post office savings banks with a balance of 13 million from almost 67,000 accounts. However, Canada Post banking system confronted challenges from chartered bank by the 1890s. This bank, facing a um, recession, became interested in attracting the kind of small-time depositors who use postal office savings. Canada Post. A number of former Canada Post presidents have considered and even promoted the notion of the corporation getting more involved in the financial services. Universal Union, the UPU, a United Nations agency, thinks post office should be looking at expanding financial services. It has produced a global roadmap for the future. This roadmap calls for the continued development of postal networks along 3 dimensions: physical, financial, and digital electronics. Federal parties. Most federal parties have expressed either support for or an interest in postal banking. In 2014, the Liberal Party postal critic said the merits of postal banking should be explored in the context of several different options for the future of Canada Post. Government Review of Canada Post. CUPW wants the Government Review of Canada Post to recommend the addition of financial and banking services at Canada Post or a minimum a task force to determine how to deliver new financial and banking services through our postal service. Please consider making this recommendation to review. For more information, a postal bank for everyone, go to www.cpw.ca/postal banking. And I'm requesting everybody to support this recommendation. Thank you. God bless. Tiny here.